If you can't tell the background, I'm in the beautiful, beautiful Treasure Valley area of Boise, Eagle, Idaho, in that region, at a friend's place who has the Old State Saloon. Just thought I'd go live today. I haven't been live in 2 weeks on these platforms. Went live on the Old State Saloon, but thought I'd go live today and let's have a little conversation of origin. Because right now there's some Republicans looking really atrocious. There's some Patriots looking really atrocious. We just got to have these conversations every now and then. And then also the point of origin, but also terminology matters. Words matter. All right, origin matters. So my mother just texted me a while ago. It was really, I love hearing from my mother, first off. I'm blessed to have my mother and father still with me. But my mother has some experience in this. And it was so funny. She's been texting me long messages and a lot of inspiration, but also a lot of wisdom. It's like she said, it's always the one who does all the work that other people come in and try to get the credit. That's just how life is, and it's always been this way. And if you love President Trump and you love what President Trump's doing, you probably want to listen to the man. I don't know how people can support a man that you don't listen to. I mean, it's one thing to be an atrocious liberal. They just don't know any better. They've been brainwashed. They're on the other side of everything. But crazy enough, liberals claim they support the Constitution. They claim they support some of the things if they only knew the actual facts of what they were reading and flip their narrative. Republicans, you have no reason to look the same way. Some of you Republicans and some of you conservatives, you look atrocious right now. You look worse than the liberals. But what's funny about all this is that Congress, the bureaucracy, the deep state, the global alliance that's been the past 60 years, all did the same thing. They all would let a senior, so you'd have this low-level guy guy or gal, came in with a great idea for an act, a bill. They hit it on the floor, and guess what happened? The senior level, the older congressmen and women, but mainly men, ladies, I'll give you some tips there. Mainly men stole it from the lower level. Plagiarism. And Joe Biden was known for this for years. And he wasn't the only one, but he was known for this plagiarism for years. So how can you support a man who has been ridiculed, mocked, and hated, but then turn around and do the same thing to someone like me? Now, it's not about me, but I just find it humorous that the only fancy background I have is the beautiful state of Idaho. I don't have graphics. I have no subscriptions. And I get called a grifter because I sell a book that you have to purchase. But guess what? All of that content is also free, quote unquote, on my time and on my dime, on my oath, keeping my oath, off of my brain and intellectual property, free on all of my pages. So explain how I'm a grifter. See, anybody who says that is a dumbass. And I know it's Sunday, and I'm going to try to keep my my Morse code words at a minimum. But that's a dumbass. That means that Charlie Kirk, that means Tucker Carlson, that means Mark Levine, that means all these guys who write books are also grifters. But it also means every liberal who's written a book is also a grifter. So that's how stupid you look if you make that comment. It's also atrocious, and it shows how stupid you are if you keep following people like that. Unfollow them. The whole point of this whole operation is discernment. Who to follow, who not to follow. And you see all the same people calling me a grifter, saying, oh, be careful who you follow. I've showed you every law and order known to man. Every law and order by President Trump, specifically, unique laws and orders. If Q, and I'm not knocking Q, but if Q was the end-all, do-all, there wouldn't be a me. Q would have told you everything in laws and orders, but Q didn't tell you that. But President Trump ain't working with Q. The military don't work with Q. The military are under laws and orders. So, you know, for those of you who follow Q, great. It taught you a new way of thinking. However, everything had to be done lawfully via laws and orders. If everything was done specifically with Q, guess what the liberals would do? They'd say it's a military coup. And then guess what would happen? President Trump would never be exonerated. He would always be hated by the left. This whole operation was not for Republicans. It was not for conservatives. It's for humanity. And anyone who has that attitude out there, attacking people, but especially attacking me for saying, hey, I'm the only one. Independent, no publisher. Straight off the top of the dome. Everything that I've learned in my life via my grandfathers, my dad, my great uncles, and other great men and women who have served in the military, all collective, I wrote these books independently. I did that. But it's not for me. It's for you. It's for humanity. President Trump didn't need me. No, he don't need anybody. They're doing this no matter what. He don't need you. He don't need me. But he does in another way. He does. Because we are all supposed to be what? We the people. That's found in what? The Declaration of Independence. How come you never hear a Democrat or a liberal mention in the Declaration of Independence? They never mention the Declaration. Ever. That's where it says it is their right, it is their duty to overthrow such government. And anybody who's attacking a veteran right now, it don't matter if I served a month, which I didn't, but it don't matter your service time. If you're attacking a veteran and you're not a veteran, you're a piece of shit. That's exactly what you are. You're a piece of shit. There's no other words for it. And if any veteran has an issue with me, it's because they don't know the laws and the orders and the customs of which they served under. I'm not attacking their service. I'm not attacking their call to action. But when a service member tells you that this is all hogwash, this is bullcrap, and all this other stuff, and they never show you via the same laws and orders how it's bullcrap and how it's hogwash, because you can't, because it's not, then all they're doing is misleading you, and they're doing themselves an injustice. They're doing their oath an injustice. I don't want them to look like trash. I don't want them to look atrocious. But your service time and your DD-214 has nothing to do with what's going on right now. You could be the most decorated in the Audie Murphy Club, and if you don't know what's going on right now, you probably need to keep your mouth shut. You don't even have to be a veteran to know what's going on right now. That's why so many of you are patriots. So many of you have read and studied and comprehend what's going on, and it's there. So when you hear people out there saying there's a group of veterans out there that hate me, well, it's because they don't know laws and orders of what they served under. That's even worse. That's pretty bad. That's sad, actually. And it doesn't bother me. What's funny about it is I know how long I served. I know what I did in the military, and I've never even talked about my service. You know what's so funny is if you watch all my videos, when people introduce me on their show, they just say I'm a retired veteran. I am retired. And you have people out there who will say stuff like, oh, you can't be retired with under 20 years. Oh, yes, you can. Explain why I'm with TRICARE Prime. Explain why I have what retirees have. Explain why I have a plaque that says retired Army. Explain that by the United States Army. Explain that to me. Explain why I receive payments. Explain why I get a monthly retiree letter. Explain that. I can, but it's none of your business right now because this isn't about me. And everybody who makes this about my service, you're making it about my service, not me. So see, you actually make it more about me than I even talk about myself. From day one, I have been President Trump all day long. My very first video, the rant, as everybody calls it, it's all about President Trump and what President Trump did. If it were about me, I would have made it all about me. And, oh, here's what I did, and here's where I went, and here's what I have on my resume. It's not about me. And if you're making it about me, you have the problem, not me. So when I lay down at night, I sleep like a baby that so many people hate me when all I've done on my time, my dime. I don't get paid to speak. I travel across the country. I don't get paid to speak and will never take a pay. Because why? It's all public laws and orders. It's my intellectual property, and if you want to buy the book, then you have to buy the book. I can't make you buy the book. Also, I've seen other comments like, oh, he did this to boost his music career. I had Billboard hits before my video went viral talking about what President Trump's doing. You cannot make a video go viral. Newsflash. If you could, I would have made a video and music go viral because I was pursuing country music. All this came as an unexpected blessing. I got thrown back into the fire, which it truly has been fire because of all the idiots I've had to deal with who are atrocious, who all claim to be President Trump supporters. They're all President Trump, but there's zero President Trump laws and orders. You cannot support a man if you don't know what he's using. That's how atrocious you are. So if you're still that person, hey, I'm okay if I have one follower. I'm okay if I end up with 0 followers. I'm not doing this for followers, but even if I end up as the one man on the hill with 1 follower, get the hell off my page. If you still support people who will do the same thing to me that's done to President Trump, and all I've done the whole time is show the laws and the orders by the man in a chronological order, all in one sitting, in one blueprint. If you're still following people who call me a grifter, who trash me as a veteran, you also are part of them. And you have the same mindset. And you need to get the hell off of my page. I don't want you. I don't need you. All right? This has all been a blessing. And I defend myself. See, this is what ends up happening. I end up defending myself. So I made some notes here because I want to stay on track. And I know all the stuff off the top of my head, but right now there's like 3 different scenarios. There's people who support the man but don't know anything about the laws and orders and think what I talk about is a conspiracy. Then you have people who support him, but they want evidence. You always want evidence. Show evidence. Show evidence. Show evidence. Why don't Trump say this? Why don't Trump say that? Why don't Trump say that? First off, it's President Trump. Stop calling him Trump. All right? He can call himself Trump and the people around him. You call him President Trump. You address him the way he should be addressed. All right, but first off, President Trump is in a role. He's playing a role. He's told you from the get-go, it's central casting, central casting, central casting, central casting, central casting. Listen to the man you claim to support. You all claim to support this guy, but you don't listen to him. That's not even possible. Ladies, where you at, ladies? We're all the men out there. You tell them over and over, don't do this. Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do that? Do this for me. Do this. Do that. Do this. Do this. And they don't listen. The whole point of supporting something, one of the key components of support is to listen. How can you support a man if you don't even listen to the man? And then, how can Trump be right about everything if he's not working with a basis that showed him how to be right about everything, which would be laws and orders, which would be knowing the deep state and how they operate, how they function, how to catch them. We've caught them all. We have it all. We've caught them all. He told you this in 2020. We have it all. We've caught them all. How can he catch them without knowing what's going on? How can he be right about everything without laws and orders? Then he puts out something. Everybody wants evidence, 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 evidence. When is Trump going? It's President Trump. When's Trump going to say something? When's he going to say something? When's he going to say something? When's he going to validate you? When's he going to say something? He puts something out, and guess what everybody does? Questions the man. Questions him. Y'all want evidence. He gives it to you, and then you, oh, well, I don't know if that's a real post. Is that really Trump? Oh, well, it's a repost of another post. President Trump posted on his account. A post and a repost are the same thing when you're reposting it. It's no different. If I reposted one of you, if I put it on my account that you said something, but you said it, and I'm saying, hey, I'm reposting this because you said it, then I'm validating you. I'm taking your post and saying, hey, I want this on my page. I want my people to see this. And people want to make this complicated. No, and you then, so all of you out there who are good, but you've been on the fence. See, then you got people who sit on the fence. You got people who are one day on your President Trump's board, the next day you're off. Next day you're on, next day you're off. You're like the world's falling on you one day, the next day you're all gung-ho President Trump. The next day, oh God, help me Jesus. Oh, the negative Nancy and Debbie Downer. One day you're on, one day you're off. Those of you, you're in the same kind of boat, right? So when President Trump puts something out there, you're questioning it. Why? What's the whole point of following a man if you're not going to listen to him? Why did you yell, drain that swamp, drain that swamp, drain that swamp? The best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. We want justice. We want justice. When are we going to see people arrested? When are we going to see people hanging for treason? President Trump put something out there, getting the stage ready, but then all of you ask me, this is what the one sitting on the fence. You say, well, why does it have to be like this? Why would President Trump make the economy go to hell if he was president the whole time? You said, why? You know why it had to look like this? Because people who claim to support President Trump, all the ones who yelled, drain that swamp, all the ones who yelled, oh, the best is yet to come and nothing can stop what's coming, they don't even know what that stop is. No one even knows. You won't listen to the people who know. You trash veterans. All the ones out there trashing the veterans like me. You're trashing the very people who know. Then you say, the one out there said, oh, Jonhson wasn't an OG Anon. First off, I served long before you knew about Q. Q came out, the Q that y'all know came out in 2017. I was in the service long before 2017. I was already doing my master's degree at Colorado State University in 2017 with my GI Bill. So see, all these people, you got either latched on Q. You're all Q, but no laws and orders. You're all Q, but no President Trump laws and orders. You're all Q, but you don't want to listen to the man. Now, I'm not knocking Q, the whole thing. However, laws and orders are more prevalent. They're what sustain America. They're what sustain us as a society. They're what our founders gave us. My God, it's not this difficult, and people make it difficult, but it had to look this way because we have Republicans and conservatives who claim to support a man and don't even know what he's working with. Simple laws and orders. I mean, it's almost humorous. It is humorous. I mean, damn. All right. Let me get back to my notes. The other big key thing. All right, so I'm a grifter. I'm a Patriot who only has books for sale and merchandise that you have to purchase. I've told the whole blueprint. 40,000 foot view from day one President Trump rolls down the escalator. And before that, the Law of War Manual, which was reissued 4 days, coincidentally, before President Trump rolls down the escalator. All right, so I tell the whole blueprint. Just like this. Chronological. 40,000 foot view. How come the FBI hasn't been to my door? Alex Jones, Flynn, all of you. How come the FBI hasn't interrogated me? How come the FBI doesn't have drones all over me? How come the FBI hasn't called my phone? How come the FBI hasn't showed up at my house? How come? How come all these big podcasters claim the FBI have come after them and they're trying to take their money? Oh, who's the real patriots? Patriots. They're trying to take their what? Their money. Yeah. And I'm the guy who goes around on my time and my dime, and I don't make a dime for my speeches. I have a book that I wrote with my intellectual property. They call that creation. And matter of fact, President Trump just signed an executive order for that just a couple weeks ago for intellectual property. Protecting authors, protecting songwriters, protecting creators of works. And all I've done is put together all the laws and orders, and the FBI has yet to show up at my door, call me, harass me. No one. No one. Instead, President Trump members of multiple properties have become my friend, have invited me to Mar-a-Lago, have invited me to Trump International, have invited me to Trump Doral. Me. So, who's the grifter? Who's the patriot? See how stupid people look? And all these people claim to be patriots themselves. Amazing how that works. All right. So you all want discernment. A lot of you message me, hey, who are they? Who are these people? Who are the ones who are patriots? Who are the ones that are... But see, if I show you on the front, if I go offensively, if I go on the offense and show you on the front, then it's mudslinging, and it's drama, and it's propaganda. But see, when I go on defense, this is all defense. All I'm doing is defending my name, defending me, defending whatever you want to call my honor. All right? I'm defending myself. I go on defense, and then guess what happens? They put out there, oh, this guy's got an attitude thing. Look at him. He's going. And I'm trying to show you people, this whole operation was to drain the swamp. Why would you support people who replicate what the swamp looked like? That's all I got to say. I don't have to say any more after that. Why would you support people who replicate the swamp? Who replicate the very thing that's done to President Trump, the man you all claim to support? You know what they call that? Hypocrisy. So if you continue to follow all these people, you're a hypocrite. There's no other way to slice that. So all you got to do is go back. There was a guy in Idaho that I met out here at this event that I was doing. And it's really cool. He showed me the video of the rant. I hadn't seen the rant in forever, the first video. And on there, I was giving people grief. I'm like, oh, so your colonel. Oh, your uncle's a colonel. Oh, your uncle's a colonel and he don't know what's going on. Sorry. My bad. Hey, I can't help that I was a shit kicker. I didn't do much in the military, so let's address it that way. Let's do that. Let's just do what the idiots say. So I was a shit kicker who didn't do much in the military. Oh, I didn't serve long, and I didn't... Tell me something I don't know. Please tell me something I don't know. How is it that I know more than a lot of colonels? How? How? You have to ask yourself that. So does... First off, you have to make this, you have to say this. You have to actually validate this. So are you saying that war is an opportunity? Is that what you're saying when you say I haven't been to war like all these other war heroes? You're saying that, okay, so you're saying that war is an opportunity. So you're saying that my intelligence stops where the opportunities stopped as well? Is that what you're going to make a case of? So and if you do that, then you have to explain why war is an opportunity, not an atrocity. See, this is where veterans are having problems. I'm not knocking your service. I'm not knocking your call to duty, your call to action. I'm not knocking where you were in your life in 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. I'm not knocking where you were. You knew what you knew at that time. You had a call to serve. Or a lot of you, though, went in because you didn't want to go to work. You didn't want to go to college. Be honest with yourself. You went in for stability. You went in for pay, easy pay, paycheck. Just be honest with yourself. All right? Because right now what we're dealing with are the difference in rights and privileges. What do you see right now with Kristi Noem and all these other people and what's going on with Harvard? They're having this battle with President Trump. So if you support President Trump and you're a veteran and you're mad at me or you got some, grudge on me, you can't support one without the other. It's the same principle. See, a lot of you don't live by principles. So right now, the Harvard deal, Kristi Noem and all these people are saying that these foreign students, it's a privilege to be here. It's not a right. It's a privilege to go to our colleges. It's not a right. All right? So it's the same thing when you go in the military. GI Bill, stability, all the paychecks, all your medical, all your different things that you get, your dental, those are privileges. Those aren't your right because you serve. All right. So a lot of you have your terminology turned around and twisted, and that's your problem. All right. I'm not knocking your service, your DD 214, where you were, what you did, where you went. I'm not knocking that. I don't even know you to knock you, but you're knocking me because of what I didn't do, and you know nothing about my life. You don't know anything about why I am fully retired through the Army with not 20 years. All right, but if you want to do this, we need to go to court for it, because then I want to set a precedent. So sue me, and when I present my case and my documents and everything else, we're going to set a precedent in court. And then that way, whoever you are out there that wants to sue me for something stupid and selfish on your part, I'm going to countersue you, and I'm going to take your 401ks, and I'm going to take your grandkids' college funds, and I'm going to donate them to a charity that deserves it because you don't. All right, that's what's going to happen, because this is not about me. But I'm not knocking your service. I'm saying as a service member, you're to remember your oath. When you took the oath, it says to do what? You will support and defend the Constitution. All right. Everything I outline are laws and orders that back and support not only the Constitution, but the Declaration of Independence and also our foundation. See, and the Federalist Papers and everything, the literature all around our founders, because I know that stuff and I read that stuff, and you're supposed to know that stuff as a veteran as well. You are, the people as well, supposed to know that, but you veterans especially are supposed to know that. And especially all you veterans against Trump, you are stupid and ignorant and look even more atrocious. All right, because everything the man has done, all he did was put his face and his brand on all this. Multiple men and women generals, multiple men and women congressmen and women, and multiple men and women foreign leaders are all a part of this. President Trump's just put his name and face on it. He didn't write all these executive orders. He didn't write all these proclamations. He didn't write all these national emergencies. If you think that, you have a lot of learning to do as well. So all of you veterans out there, I'm not attacking your service. I'm saying as a service member, you're to remember your oath. Your oath says, I will support and defend the Constitution. And guess when foreign and domestic was added to it? Foreign had nothing to do with going on the offense to all these wars that were not a defensive war. None of these nations were a threat to us. We have to address that. We have to address why we were in war. We have to address that. It's a must. They were all offensive wars, and President Trump has alluded to that. But because some of you are so sensitive and you're so delicate and you're actually not as tough as you think you are, he's had to be sensitive and delicate because of that as well. Can't just rip the Band-Aid off and address the problem, because some of you are soft pansy daisies. You're sissies, and you're not as tough as you think you are. And some of you who have tried to fist fight me, you think that fist fighting is going to solve this? So if you whoop my butt, the laws and orders are still there. But if I whoop your butt, the laws and orders are still there. Well, what is fist fighting? What does fighting have to do with it? So see how stupid people look? I've had people try to fight me because of what I'm saying. Literally, fight me. And I'm like, okay, so if you whoop me, laws and orders are still there. But if I whoop you and you're not a veteran, guess what's going to happen? You're going to yell because I whooped your ass. You're going to yell that I'm a veteran and I'm trained to kill, and you're going to yell what all the liberals do. And then the laws and orders are still there. So service members who have a problem with me, come straight to me, first off, because you don't do that. All right? But two, when you come straight to me, I'm going to show you all the laws and orders. And then I'm going to say, you, service members, have to take all the same laws and orders, quit saying all this stuff about, oh, you're a shit kicker, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that. Forget that. Explain why these laws and orders, in a chronological order, outline a military government, outline a military occupation, outline a continuity of government, a government in exile, all special operations, all special forces, unconventional warfare, all irregular warfare, clandestine and covert operations, which are secretive until they want the people to know about it. You have to explain that. Quit using all these things that anybody can say. A 3-year-old can say the word grifter. All right, a 3-year-old can say that. Come at me with laws and orders. You can't do it because the laws and orders say exactly what they say. And it's because you didn't know that and you're feeling something, whatever it is. Jealousy, you're feeling lost, you're feeling, inadequate because you didn't know. And all I'm trying to do is, because I don't know who you are, where you're sitting when you're hearing this, all I'm trying to do is say, hey, guess what? Most people probably don't know that you don't know. But when you vocalize this to people, when you go out on the record, when you go out in the comment box and you say this is hogwash, guess what you're doing? You're putting a red X on yourself. Because all these people here who are true patriots, who have read, who have studied, especially if they're civilians and not veterans, you're only making yourself look atrocious. You're doing that to yourself. And I'm not trying to do that to you. I'm just saying that we have to address why we were on the offense. Why did we go to Korea? Why were we in Vietnam? Why were we in Iraq? Why were we in Afghanistan? And guess what? President Trump has a massive Supreme Court docket case waiting right now on the docket that's going to open a massive can of worms on Bush, on Obama, on the Clintons, on Osama, on Gaddafi, and also on 9/11. And you're only going to make yourself look worse because this had to be rolled out so slowly because when President Trump put something out, his own people that claim to support him question him. So you can hate me all you want. I don't care. I know what I know. I can't unknow what I know. I can't unsee what I've seen. I can't unread what I've read. And all these patriots here, they don't support me because I'm good looking. They don't support me because of any other reason. And my music, my Spotify shows they don't support me for that reason. All right, so I wasn't doing it for music's sake. And that's okay. Not knocking the followers. Just saying that it proves they're not following me for any other reason except I've done what? I've brought all the facts. I've brought the receipts of everything. And I didn't throw crumbs at them the whole time. I didn't Hansel and Gretel them. Here's your crumb today. Come on back for more. Oh, by the way, I have a $2 subscription. Sign up for it and then you can get another crumb tomorrow. I didn't do that. I don't do that. I won't do that. Where are my sponsors? Where are all my stuff? Where's my ass cream and butt cream? Where are my links at? Where are they? Where are they? All of you people out there calling me a grifter. Where are they? Half the people that you watch, and I know some good people out there. And it sounds bad every time I do this because I actually know some good people who are good podcasters who do have butt creams and face creams and this cream and that and this and this and that and this and this and that. Where are mine at? They're not there. All on my time, all on my dime. So, yeah. Let me put this in here where we can talk about it. Because I'm going to do a spiel here. I'm going to put my notes here. So here's what you have to do. If you got a problem with me, stop acting like a little 3-year-old immature toddler, all right? And stop saying stuff like grifter and patriot and all these other things because you're just jealous. When you use those terms, you're jealous, all right? So if you have a real problem with me, then here's what you do. I've said it from the get-go. Explain to me why, when I lay all these things out that President Trump, the one you said, drain that swamp, yeah, nothing can stop what's coming. Nothing can stop what's coming. The best is yet to come. All of the same people, if they're really patriots that claim to have a problem with me, explain why all these laws and orders in place more than clearly outline special operations, military government, military occupation, continuity government, in laws, in Trump's laws. You call him Trump. I hate calling him Trump because he's President Trump. He's Supreme Commander Trump. Everything he's done is replicated Eisenhower and Roosevelt. Everything. Every bit of it. My grandfather will be gone 20 years this September. My grandfather's the one that taught me about the public governments. All right? Everything has been replicated. It's a slightly different tactic. It's a slightly different operation because they're draining the swamp. They're draining the bureaucrats. They're draining the global alliance. They've reset all the currencies. They've done everything right in front of everybody. So you, the hater, which you're really a moron, but you, the hater, have to take all these laws and orders and flip them and explain how they don't mean what they mean to these people. That's all you got to do. But you can't do it because you know why? Laws and orders don't work like that. And President Trump is a law and order man by the way the law and order is prescribed on paper, but also enforcing it as it's prescribed on paper. The bureaucrats didn't do that all those years. The bureaucrats showed you on paper, well, this is what it says, but none of you, not all of you patriots, but none of you with your Debbie Downer attitudes, none of those that watched this video, none of you read those and went and studied those and what they actually mean. Those people say you got to be a lawyer to know the law. You got to be a scholar to know the law. You got to be a general to know military laws. You got to be a colonel. That's what has made America so detrimental and put it into place it's been. Because of entitlements, positions, and titles. You think a guy like me, you think because my service ended short, that my brain and my intellect stops where my service stopped. And I served long before Q. You have no idea if I'm part of that. You have no idea. You would have no idea. And first off, anyone who is true secret military is not going to tell you that. They're not going to say something. They're not even going to make some joke like, oh, I'm military intelligence. Oh, you didn't hear that. It don't work like that. You would never know that. So that's why I've told everybody who follows me from the get-go, stop pointing fingers at people you don't have a clue about. Just because you don't like their persona, you don't like the way they hold themselves, carry themselves, walk, talk, etc., don't mean they're a bad person. They could be playing a role. They could be a pawn. They could be a good pawn, a bad pawn. But special operations requires all kinds of key characters and actors. That's why President Trump tells you it's central casting. It's central casting. It's central casting. Why don't you listen to the man? All right. So, I'm going to make sure to put one more note here. It's amazing. So from 2017 to 2021, you watched the resetting by the Declaration of Independence. From 2017 to 2021, you watched the resetting of legislative branch, Article 1. President Trump put in all these unique laws and orders as prescribed on paper, like the 1973 War Powers Act describes and prescribes war. Title 50 is war and national defense. National defense. National has nothing to do with rigging 9/11 and starting a war for oil and money. And President Trump told you this. He told you recently. He said, why didn't they take the oil? Why didn't we take the oil? That's why he said it. I thought we did take the oil. He's telling you that the Bushes took the oil. Not the United States of America. You gotta listen to the man. You gotta listen to his terminology. Listen. See, some people hate me so much that they ain't even focused on what they're supposed to be focused on. And they can learn to love me because I listen to every little detail. Every little detail. He told you. Why didn't we take the oil? Most liberals were yelling and fussing and complaining in the 90s that, oh, this is a war for oil. They knew. How come they knew? But we, the United States, didn't take the oil. And President Trump just said that in a speech not long ago. He said, why didn't we take the oil? Thought we did. No. They took the oil, not we, the United States of America. Got to listen to the man. 2017 to 2021, President Trump went on all these capitulation tours. It's now called a capitulation tour. It's not really by definition, but it's a capitulations. He walked in front of the Queen. All the liberals. Oh, he's unetiquette. He don't know etiquette. Blah, blah, blah. He's uncouth. He's look at that buffoon. He don't know what he's doing. Walked in front of the Queen. He presented the trophy to the sumo wrestler. The emperor's supposed to do that. The emperor? The emperor is supposed to hand the trophy, and President Trump's handing. He's the first person in the Forbidden City of China in 500 plus years. Where the hell were you? Where were y'all? So see, there's multiple different people we're talking to today, because Republicans and conservatives look atrocious right now. So only they know who they are. Were you the one that's questioning President Trump but want to believe him? Were you the one that says you believe him but then you got to see evidence? Then you question the evidence? Or are you the one who just didn't believe him all to begin with and you didn't even really know what to believe? What are you? I mean, we look atrocious right now. Not we the Patriots, the real Patriots, but there's some atrocious looking folks out there. He left the guy, the Argentinian president, on the stage by himself, looking around. He was at NATO summit. He pushed the prime minister out of the way. Saudi Arabia, sword dance, crowned a king, pretty much. Modi, Prime Minister of India, praised him, worshipped him, said he's the greatest of all time. Where the hell were you? And these were just normal, the outsider. So see, liberals know, but they don't know. Liberals know more than Republicans, based on if they just would flip their narrative and learn the laws and orders and learn why they're in this nation. Liberals look better than Republicans right now. How is that? I mean, this is how bad it is for Republicans, conservatives, and the true, for us true, you only know it if you know it, because you will know that. You'll remember all these capitulations. Liberals actually know more than Republicans if they just flip their script and their narrative. President Trump, when all these capitulations, they capitulated for what's going on right now. The outsider did this as an outsider, never a politician. He did this as an outsider? Are you serious right now? You think he did this as a regular president? Get out of here. That's why laws and orders, unique laws and orders outline Title 50, War and National Defense. Chapter 33 is your War Powers Act. And there is a clause in there put there December the 20th, 2019 by President Trump and the Congress. You can't miss this. And it sounds repetitive, but guess what? It is repetitive. Once you learn it, it's there. That's how easy it is. Title 50, Chapter 33, Section 1550, December the 20th, 2019. The clause in there says, in the first 180 days after December the 20th, 2019, which was the same day President Trump established a Space Force, by the way, and a lot of other things took place that day. In the first 180 days, and every 180 days thereafter, December the 20th, 2019, the President is to send a report to Congress, the defense committees, the use of regular and irregular forces. Well, there's where your special operations comes in. That little word called irregular forces. So see, all those veterans out there that just have so much animosity towards me, you look atrocious. It's all there. And they've never put a date in a section like that. There's been dates of when they were put in there, but not a date of an operation. They put this in the War Powers Act, Title 50, Chapter 33. And this is why it's important to listen. That's why it's important to listen. Because you can't debunk this stuff. It's all there. And it's still present. So, the first 180 days, President Trump, verbal national emergency on March 13th. It was separate from the executive order. So when you hear veterans out there saying, oh, well, that was during COVID, the executive order is separate from the national emergency. That executive order was never revoked by Biden. It's still open. It's still active. it says 1 million reserve components, March 27th. But guess what happened 4 days before that? All the talk started chattering on the mainstream media about President Trump to install a general just in case law breaks down. You don't install a general, ladies and gentlemen. They are there by rank. They're there by service. You don't install a general. That's not how the military works. Come on, veterans. Damn! It's not that difficult. What it is because I don't have a long DD-214. It's because I wasn't some high-ranking official, and I know more than them. It's called jealousy. It's called ignorance. Executive Order 13912, invoke Title 10, Section 12302. April the 30th, 2020, Executive Order 13919. President Trump direct order to the Secretary of Defense, equal authority to federalize selective reserves to active duty. The reserves and National Guard have been active every single day to this day, out of their state jurisdictions. Any veteran that tells you that the National Guard goes across the state lines without an order is a damn fool. That is where, not knocking their service, I'm knocking their intelligence on how the National Guard operates and functions. You have to be under an order. You either have to be under a government order, Title 32, or a presidential Title 10. But even the Title 32 still goes up. It goes to the adjutant, and the adjutant goes to the president. If it didn't ever go to the president, guess what we would have had in history by now? Some power-tripping governors. Come on, veterans. Damn! Don't look this atrocious to people. I'm trying to help you out. God! Federalization. On August the 28th, 2020, Congress put out a report. Why is it titled the Military Justice Act of 2016? Do you know what the Military Justice Act did in 2016? Who was the president in 2016? Not President Trump. Who was the Supreme Court in 2016? Not President Trump's nominees. Why did the Supreme Court in 2016 all of a sudden clarify in an act that military courts and laws are separate from federal courts and laws? Maybe a little thing called Gitmo. 180 business days from December the 20th, 2019 to August 28th, 2020 is exactly 180 business days from what that clause says in Title 50, Chapter 33, Section 1550. The President's report the use of regular and irregular forces. Well, that's what happened. Then in the second 180 days, and we can go back really first, on July the 1st, NAFTA was ended. President Trump put in the USMCA. There's that. All right. Now fast forward the second 180 days. You had your Executive Order 13959, November the 12th, 2020. That was the executive order that froze all the assets of those illegally funding the Chinese Communist military, which was Bezos. You saw what happened with him. Zuckerberg. They've all donated to President Trump now, so they've all capitulated. They all turned. Tim Cook, Apple, same thing. All right. Then you had the Abraham Accords established September the 15th, 2020. Peace in the Middle East. That's your United Arab Emiratis and Israel. Very simple. All those nations have been in and out of the U.S. over and over. Tunisia, Nigeria, all these nations that want to be a part and have been a part of the Israeli operations have been in and out of the U.S. for the last 5 and 6 years. You think Biden did that? Come on, people. Now, the key executive orders. Executive Order 13961, December the 7th, 2020. President Trump invoked the continuity of government. All right. December the 7th. Why would Biden revoke that portion? He revoked a portion of that executive order on January the 19th, 2025. If there wasn't a continuity of government, Why would Biden and all of you out there who said Obama was pulling the strings back, why would they leave a continuity government order in place from December the 7th, 2020 to January the 19th, 2025, the very last day of a full presidency, 24 hours? Why? If there wasn't a continuity government. So you can't debunk laws and orders. So anybody who hates me is a dumbass, an idiot, a moron, or jealous, or all the above. Sorry. Facts are facts. Executive Order 13961. 3 days later, Executive Order 13963 is the very last and most recent order of succession within the Department of Defense. So hear that again. Executive Order 13963 is the very last but most recent order of succession within the Department of Defense. Every president has had an order of succession within the Department of Defense except for Joe Biden. Make that make sense. If President Trump's recent repost that he didn't really mean to post, all these idiots out there saying Biden's executed, if President Trump don't know what's going on and don't know, then why in the hell is the most recent order of succession from President Trump? How come Biden is the only president who's never had one? Explain that. And they're all in our Department of Defense directives. They're all in our Department of Defense instruction manuals. Where you at, veterans? Where you at, veterans who hate Derek Jonhson? Where you at? You don't even know the Department of Defense directives and instruction manuals. The Department of Defense, the thing you served under. And you think I am going to lose sleep over you not knowing that and you hating me because you didn't even know the own very laws and orders you served under? You can kiss my ass. That's my veteran love to you. Plant one. Right here on this Wrangler ass. Plant it, baby. Go ahead. Pucker up and plant it. You look atrocious. And you're supposed to know this stuff. 3 weeks later, January the 1st, 2021. 3 weeks later, after that executive order invoking a continuity of government, continuity of operations. 3 weeks later, FEMA and Department of Homeland Security put out a publication. They already had two reissued, January the 17th, 2017, and June 13th, 2017, reissued Federal Continuity Directive 1, Federal Continuity Directive 2. Reissued. Do you hear that term? Reissued. Meaning we have new terms of continuity of government. We have new implementations. That was January the 17th, 2017, 3 days before President Trump and the military walked down behind him when he said we're going to take the power out of D.C. and give it back to you, the people. How in the hell can they give the power back to you, the people, if you don't even know your very core principles of laws and orders, of the simplicities of the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers, the Constitution? How can we give the power back to you if you don't even know the very key, core, simple principles of being we the people? You won't even listen to the man you claim to support. You won't even listen to him. He has documented this all along the way. And I've done it for him in a book. FEMA and DHS puts out a publication under the two umbrellas. Guess what it's titled? Reconstitution of the Executive Branch. You know what reconstitution means? It means to set something back to its original state. So if they're doing a reconstitution and they're setting something back to its original, it means that it's not in its original form. Oh, holy shnikes. Guess what that means? 2017 to 2021 was a resetting of the legislative branch because all these laws and orders were put into place to invoke a continuity government. You can't have a continuity government without a what? Presidential Emergency Action Document. These were established by Dwight D. Eisenhower, former president and five-star general, supreme commander, military governor. You know what this grin means? It's called a shit-eating grin. You know what it's for? The veterans who had no idea about that. The veterans who say, oh, This guy's full of shit. He didn't serve but this amount of time and blah, blah, blah. Has nothing to do with it, vets. Nothing. It makes you look worse because I know more than you. And you think I'm going to lose sleep over that? Because I know more than most officers know or knew? Presidential Emergency Action Documents. PEDS. National emergencies, proclamations, treaties, executive orders. There's 4 ways the military pairs with federal. Executive orders, proclamations, national emergencies, and treaties. What are presidential emergency action documents? Executive orders, proclamations, national emergencies, treaties. You know what they all require? The president. President Trump told you back in March 2025, I've signed over 400 executive actions. There were only 150 on the Federal Register at that time. Where were the other 250? Where were they? Presidential emergency action documents. You can't pick this up from today without knowing what President Trump did in 2016 and 2017. So see, 2017 to 2021 was a resetting of the legislative branch. All these unique laws and orders invoked a military government, military occupation, continuity of government. President Trump has validated that. He put the dash on his ball cap, 45-47, on April the 2nd, 2023. So he was claiming 46 in 2023, and he was telling you, I will be your 47th president on my ball cap. I'm going to be your 47th president in a year and 7 months from now. And you think he was just being cocky? You think he was just being bold? You think that? Because if you think that, then the liberals would take it as egotistical, and they'd spin it all kinds of ways. So you got to draw a line somewhere. Then, your continuity of government, right? So you have that executive order. You have the January the 1st, the reconstitution of the executive branch. So there's your first command going into the executive branch. What did you witness from 2021 to 2025? Liberals hang on to January the 6th. They know something happened. They don't know what happened by law, but they know something happened. So how is it that liberals, they're engaged more than Republicans and conservatives? They're not engaged on the right terminology. They're not engaged on the laws and the orders. But they could be flipped easier than a Republican and a conservative. If they just knew what took place that day. The first time in U.S. history you witnessed 2 objections take place in the state of Arizona count. Well, any state, but it just happened to be in the state of Arizona. 2 objections. That was a violation of Title III, Section 15. It says that every vote is to be disposed of before what? Moving to the next state. There were 2 objections. They weren't disposed of. When the objections took place, conveniently and immediately, a quote-unquote insurrection took place. Weird. Why didn't they stop the vote? Okay, Nancy Pelosi came in and she was all flustered. Oh gosh. You still could have stopped the vote. All they had to do was stop the vote. They could have been flustered. They could have been scared. It could have been any of that. They still could have stopped the vote. Why didn't they stop the vote? Why didn't they dispose of those objections? And all of you idiots out there, whoever you are, not the followers and not the people who are patriots, but all of you idiots out there who thought that Nancy Pelosi had control of the National Guard, you're a damn idiot. Sorry. There's no other way to split that hair. We're at the place where that saying is you're splitting hairs. There's no way to split that hair. Nancy Pelosi had no control of the National Guard whatsoever. That's presidential. Sorry. It just is. Because the commander-in-chief is the commander of the Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. He is the direct commander of that. So see, they were testing people back then to see how much you knew, and the American people are atrocious. Atrocious. You don't even know not you patriots, but the others that might be hearing this for the first time, you don't even know the simplicities of military, and you don't even know the simplicities of federal government. You don't even know the simplicities. So how can you know the layers and layers and layers, and why would you want to knock IQ and knowledge? Just shut up long enough and go read it. It's all there. Everything I put out there is all public, but it's all in a chronological, and it's all in a one pile. It's in chronological order, but it's intellectual property, but still it's there. So conveniently, a quote-unquote, do you know that one of our founders, French founders, imagine that, France. Hey, what do we know about French? French founder, Marquis de Lafayette, said that insurrection is a part of being a patriot. Imagine if liberals knew that. But see, what the liberals don't realize that day, they said Trump's did all that. No. President Trump put out a proclamation. He put out a verbal for everybody to go home, to protest peacefully elsewhere, but go home after that. Now, J6ers, a lot of them had issues with me, especially their parents, but I say, look, I'm a law and order guy. You can hate me all you want, but here's what your children walked into. Here's what they did. They could have known what I knew, but they didn't. So, again, you, as an American civilian, every single one of you, have a core right and duty to know what I know. If you knew what I knew, you wouldn't need me. And I'd be okay with that. I'm accepting of that. January the 6th, Congress broke Title III, Section 15. They didn't dispose of the objections. They went right through. They came back in, quote unquote, after the quote unquote insurrection, all on TV, all publicated. Everything was on TV. All right. They came back in. They went from Wyoming to California to Wyoming, certified the votes. They broke Title III, Section 15, Title 18, which is federal crimes and criminal procedures, Title 18, 2381, 2384, 2385, seditious acts to overthrow the government. They also broke 52 U.S. Code 20511. Go look them up. All right, that's what they broke. So that's how atrocious liberals look, because they don't know that. They say they support the Constitution, but they know nothing about it, which is hilarious. That started your executive branch transition, transformation, everything. They knew what was happening, though. They knew they couldn't stop what was coming. So see, when people say, oh, nothing can stop what's coming, that's what the liberals knew then. How is it that Republicans and conservatives don't even know what that nothing is? Nothing can stop what's coming. What is coming? The resetting. All right. Then January the 20th. It's already been proven. Some idiot today was trying to share out there that some veterans against me and they proved the cannons. They ain't proved nothing. 3 cannons at Arlington is a funeral. So you got to listen. The first time in U.S. history, 2 different set of cannons were shown on Inauguration Day. If you go back to YouTube and you look from 2017 back to 1969, Richard Nixon, 3 cannons were never shown to you. It was 4 cannons. 4 cannons in the National Capital Region. Not at Arlington. They've never shown the cannons at Arlington. Ever. On January the 20th, Inauguration Day. So you got to listen and you got to pay attention. The first time in U.S. history, 2 different sets of cannons were shown on January the 20th, 2021. I was in artillery school in the Army. The 3rd Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, the official presidential salute battery, they're not artillery, they're mortarmen. That's all they do. That's all they do. And they perform these most beautiful, elegant, whatever you want to call it, awesome structured ceremonial marches. They don't stand around, they're not overweight, not all these things like they showed you that day. Give the military more credit. Come on, people. The oldest unit in the Army is the Old Guard, 1784. The first time in U.S. history they showed 2 different sets of cannons on Arlington. They showed 4 cannons with President Trump at Joint Base Andrews with a red carpet rollout and hail to the chief. And they told you that day, you got to listen, they told you, the mainstream media told you that was the presidential salute battery, the Old Guard. They didn't say that with Biden. They didn't say, oh, ladies and gentlemen, here's the presidential salute battery, the 3rd Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard. They didn't say that. They just showed you on camera, on TV, production, film. They showed you Arlington National Cemetery. 3 cannons with Biden. None of the National Guard saluted the motorcade as Biden went by. We always salute the Commander-in-Chief and a moving flag. All right. Also that day, Amazing Grace was performed for Biden. That's a funeral song. It's never been performed before. All right, for any inauguration. All right, Amazing Grace. You can look that up at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, in an Army file. That the Amazing Grace is performed by bagpipes, which they didn't do that day, but it's still the Amazing Grace is a funeral song. Also, the cannons, Army regulations, 600-25, 2-3 cannon salutes. It's to be a commissioned officer president at every cannon salute. There was no commissioned officer president for Biden. None. And they were all moving around. They didn't perform a marching ceremony whatsoever. That is not military bearing, ladies and gentlemen, whatsoever. And 3 cannons at Arlington. You have got to be the most dumbest, dumbass to argue with Arlington National Cemetery.mil. Since the 21-gun salute is not to be confused with the 3-volley salute seen or heard at Arlington. The 3-volley salute is a funeral. And yes, it's a funeral for others when they perform funeral ceremonies, but the only cannons they showed all day long for Biden were the 3 cannons at Arlington. You dumb twat waffles. Open your damn ears. Gosh. You make yourself look atrocious, veterans. 3 cannons at Arlington's funeral, no matter how you slice the pie. And the only cannons shown all day long for Biden were the 3 at Arlington. They weren't the 4 cannons. And then on January the 20th, 2025, what took place? Oh, what do we have here? 4 cannons, 21 rounds fired, the official presidential salute battery, announced to you in the National Capital Region, not at Arlington, and there was a commissioned officer present, a 21-gun salute on January the 20th, 2025. And they happened to move Arlington to the day before, never been done, as a focal point to show you the difference. They put Arlington on January the 19th, 2025 with President Trump this time. So when he did a review of the troops, after he swore in, he walked around the troops with a general. He did a review of the troops. Did you see Biden do that? I don't think so. That's why you look atrocious, veterans. You look atrocious. It's not me. I'm motivating you to know what you're supposed to know. And that's sad. If I'm having to motivate you to know what you're supposed to know, that's bad. And to think that I'm going to get mad about it because you call me all kinds of names out there and you bash and trash. Let's get on this really fast. All over your profiles, all over for your little friends and family, you got to look all tough. You put your 1-800 veteran suicide hotline number up because you claim you love your veterans so much, your brothers and sisters, but you trash me. I've heard veterans out there say, oh, it don't matter if you did 3 months, 6 months, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's okay for them. But a guy like me, who puts my name, my real face, and by the way, I'm also a male, in case you didn't notice this, all right? I haven't changed my voice. All these idiots, I've heard everything. Oh, it's changed his voice and this, that, and other. Same voice, same southern voice, all right? All these different accusations everywhere. I've been the most consistent person out there. And you veterans, I love you. You're supposed to be rising up. This is your moment to rise up. But when you're bashing and trashing me because you don't know what you're supposed to know, it's going to look bad on you. You're missing out. Biden was not real. He was an actor. President Trump told you over and over and over and over and over. Central casting. He's been shot. He doesn't know he's alive. He's been shot. He doesn't know he's alive. He doesn't know he's alive. He doesn't know he's in the world. He doesn't know where he is. He's over in Delaware sleeping. How can you support a man but not listen to him? How can you claim to be about this nation but don't know anything about the Declaration of Independence, the Revolutionary War? The Constitution has no bearing on you and I, except for representatives who represent us. So if I hired a representative to represent me, they're supposed to go around representing me and what I talk about. That's why they're called representatives. They're supposed to represent we the people. How can they represent we the people who don't even know what's going on lawfully? Don't even know what you're supposed to know. We have people who don't even know about the Revolutionary War. The military came first. So the war started, the military came first. War articles, military law came before the Declaration of Independence. Then the Constitution wouldn't have life or precedent without the Revolutionary War or the Declaration of Independence. It's the Declaration of Independence that says, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations. It's the Declaration of Independence that says it is their right, it is their duty to overthrow such government that goes against the foundation and reset it. The resetting of the Declaration is happening right in front of everybody and they can't even see it. 2017 to 2021, legislative branch, the first branch, the way the founders established it. Legislative first, executive second, judicial third. And it's happening right in front of everybody and they can't even recognize it. Then they told everybody that the National Guard were there for the inauguration, but they stayed till March. Let me do my Alabama hillbilly math here. January the 20th, February, March. What was the National Guard doing? Staying there till March 2021 for an inauguration? Now, so they pulled President Trump back, military governor, supreme commander, Eisenhower, same thing. All the laws and orders outline the same exact thing. Keep in mind, Executive Order 13961, the continuity government was still invoked. They didn't revoke portions of it until January the 19th, 2025. So there's that. You had your visuals of the military. You had your visuals of the military taking over. Full visuals. All by military customs. Straight up customs. So from 2021 to 2025 was the resetting of the executive branch. President Trump was on all these rallies. Rally. You've never seen a rally in the first 2 years before an election year. You've never seen that. All these rallies and speeches. And what did President Trump say at these speeches? What did he say? We're an occupied country. We will soon no longer be an occupied country. Remember Angela Merkel? Remember Angela? No one remembers her now. I gave her the white flag of surrender. Capitulations. February 18, 2025, a reporter asked President Trump about a puppet government and capitulations in Russia. And then Flynn and Alex Jones, who have both been replaced, all of a sudden want to chime in 2025 when they said there was no military. First off, Alex Jones has never talked about military operation. He has never taught laws and orders. He don't know laws and orders. All right. But they all of a sudden want to chime in now and say that there's a continuity government going into effect into Russia. All right. Guess who's the only person out there who's talked about puppet governments? Me. I will brag about that because my grandfather taught me about those, who will be gone 20 years this September. All right, rest in peace to my grandfather who lied about his age to get in the Army in World War II. He didn't serve 20 years anyway either. So does that mean he's not a real veteran either, all you asshole people out there who want to pick on service time? Does that mean my grandfather's not a real veteran either? Does that mean everybody who was drafted, they didn't sign up to serve? Does that mean everybody who was drafted who got killed in war, does that mean that they're not a real veteran either? Is that what you're saying out there? Please put it on record. All of you who have a problem with me, put it on record that you're saying because a veteran don't serve 8 to 10 to 20 years that they're not a real veteran. Put it on record. It can't just be me because I'm not the only one who had a short service time unlike other people. So put that on record. I don't think you'll do that because you're a bunch of pussies. That's what you are. You're a bunch of jealous pussies. So we have President Trump's executive order still in place now. You got to remember, December the 7th, 2020, continuity of operations. Then you saw the visuals of your military. So then you fast forward to present day. All you hear now, judge this, judge that, judge this, judge block this, judge that, judge this, judge that, judge, a panel of judges. Article 3, judicial branch. Imagine that. Imagine our founders who made it legislative, executive, then judicial. Imagine that. And President Trump reset Article 1, the legislative branch, all these unique laws and orders that invoke the continuity of operations, continuity of government, military government, government in exile, which are all in special operations. Imagine that. All in irregular warfare. Government in exile. Puppet government. And President Trump's on all these different things in 2021 and 2022, and he's talking about an occupied country. Occupied country and puppet government. Guess what chapter they're in? The same chapter of a military occupation. A military occupation. Most people think, oh, just military occupation. Oh, that means an MOS, your military occupational specialty, what you did in the military. You can run an occupation anywhere. They ran it on this nation. President Trump told you over and 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 over again that we've been invaded. He said that our gravest threats are not abroad, they're within. Trump was right about everything. Y'all all post this. How can he be right about everything if he's telling you our gravest threats are within, not abroad? They're not in Afghanistan. They're not in Iraq. They're not in Vietnam. They're not in Korea. They're not in Bosnia. They're not in Kosovo. They're not in Somalia. They're not in Syria. They're not anywhere. They're within. How can you claim to support a man and don't listen to him? And he told you in all these speeches, I gave Angela Merkel the white flag of surrender, the white flag of truce, which are negotiations, and capitulations are in the same chapter of the Law of War Manual. Occupied territory and puppet government are in the same chapter, military occupation chapter of the Law of War Manual, and white flag of surrender and capitulations are in the same chapter of the Law of War Manual. They're not government terms, ladies and gentlemen. So how am I full of shit? How's it all hogwash? How is all this a conspiracy theory when President Trump is telling the whole world that he gave Angela Merkel a white flag of surrender? And he had a reporter asking him just in February the 18th, 2025 about puppet governments and a capitulation with Russia? You know what it does? It feels good to be hated, don't it? Patriots, raise whatever you got. This is water, H2O. Feels good to be hated, don't it? Think I care? You think I care? Because I'm right. And you're right. And it ain't about being right. It's about getting it right. And we're getting it right. And we're getting it right. And we're going to get it right. And we're going to keep it right. And all of you naysayers and all of you whiners and complainers and fussers and gripers and cussers and moaners and all of you out there, guess what you're going to do? You're going to take seconds. You're going to take seconds. With all of these patriots, you're going to take seconds. You're also not going to get positions because all these patriots are going to remember you. Wherever you are in your names and your communities, they're going to remember you. When you're trying to be all patriotic, when you're trying to be all getting a position, oh, I'm going to run for this, run for that. No, we're going to remember you. And if I have anything on you, I'm going to blast it always and say, nope, you didn't know. And you trashed me the whole time. When you trash me, guess who you're trashing? All these patriots. Because I'm a mouthpiece for them. Why is it when I go to Trump Doral do I go live for all of you? Because I want you to experience it too. I wish every single one of you could go to Mar-a-Lago. I wish every single one of you could go to Trump Doral. I wish every single one of you could go to Trump International or anywhere. It's not for me. It's for us. And you know that because I haven't changed a bit. Same dude. No background. Nothing except for real backgrounds. And I love it. So then, Texas, President Trump, he's with the governor of Texas and the adjutant general in Texas. Veterans, where were you? The governor of Texas and the adjutant general in 2024, 14 states deployed to Texas. Oh, I thought we could only deploy to Iraq and Afghanistan. Oh, where are you at now, veterans? You going to tell all those veterans who went down to the border that they're not serving? You going to tell them that they're not because they didn't go to Iraq or Afghanistan? Are you going to tell them that their service is invaluable? Is that what you're going to say? Because I'm pretty sure the oath says foreign and domestic, and when they put foreign in there, it had to do with foreign invading us. It didn't have anything to do with going out of our nation. If you only knew the history of the oath, you would probably know that, and you wouldn't look so atrocious when someone shows you that. 14 states deployed to Texas. When you leave a state in a National Guard, when a state goes to another state, that is federalization. How come there's no Title 10 federalization order in there by Biden anywhere? How come the only Title 10 to that complexity and to that capacity and to that level was March 27, 2020, President Trump, Executive Order 13912, where he invoked Title 10, Section 12302. Where you at, veterans? Why can't you even quote your own laws? How is this me trashing you? It's me saying, if you're saying it's hogwash, and I'm showing you where it's at in laws and orders, and you're still saying it's hogwash, you're not a real patriot. And if you have a problem, civilians, with that, you're not a real patriot either. That's what Congress did the last 60 years. They did all this, but they never backed it up. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. The governor and the adjutant general. You don't at ease a former commander. Period. Commander-in-chief, former commander, period. General, colonel. You don't at ease a former commander. You don't salute a former commander. And if that was President Trump as a former president, that would have been a breach of national security, one. It also would have been a violation of his own Executive Order 13848, which is election interference because it was an election year. And if Joe Biden was a sitting president, that would have been a breach of national security and also violations of multiple laws and orders if President Trump was a former. But he's standing there with the governor of Texas and the adjutant. Biden was never shown one time with the governor of Texas or the adjutant general. And the adjutant general is the one that gives it all away. The adjutant general reports to the governor unless the National Guard are federalized by Title 10. So if President Trump was a former president, he should have never been there in the first place. There's that. 2, he would have not been needed if President Trump was a former. And President Trump, if he was a former, and he was just a regular civilian at that time waiting to rerun for 2024, then he would have not have breached national security. He would have not have broken all the laws and orders, because guess what the liberals would have done? Charged him with it and barred him from being president again if he was a former. That's how simple this is. But President Trump standing there with the adjutant general and the governor in plain view, right in plain sight. Biden was never shown one time with the governor or the adjutant general, and also both, ever. So if President Trump was a former, there he was standing there with every visual you need to see that he is not a former president. It's a military governor, a supreme commander, and it's the same exact laws and orders that Eisenhower put into place. Rare 5-star general, supreme commander, and military governor. So funny, man. So funny. It's that easy. It's that simple. Then he told you that day, it's a war. We have an invasion and war. It's a military operation. He said it twice. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2 is called the suspension clause. You've heard all the chatter about the suspending of the Constitution, suspension, and invasion or rebellion of public safety. The president's number one role and duty is to protect us, the people, from invasion, from a rebellion, onto the public, onto public safety. Guess what branch does that, though? Article 1, legislative branch. So all the people who are mad and yelling President Trump's he's going to terminate the Constitution. No, it's called a suspension clause. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2. You probably should know the Constitution. All right? And it's the legislative branch who does it, not the president. So when people ask me all the time, does Congress know what's going on? Yes, they know what's going on. Laws and orders show a military government and a continuity government. And all you got to do is go look in Special Operations the publication handbook. It shows you this. Government in exile, puppet governments, everything. Assassinations. That was changed from 1966 to 2016. What a coincidence that was. The New York National Guard, another one that proves it. So March the 11th, this year, 2025, the New York State Senate wrote President Trump a letter asking him to federalize the National Guard active duty. From March the 11th, 2025 to June the 1st, 2025, present day, there's not a single Title 10 order in that window. But the National Guard all of a sudden went from 2,800 on duty to 8,200. Where's the order at? Wow, what a coincidence, because the Adjutant General of New York put a report out in 22 and 23, so 2022 and 2023 and 2024, that there's 2,800 National Guard in the subways on active duty, federalization. That's civil operations, by the way, Laura Logan. You might want to learn that because you said that military can't work with civilian. And you look pretty atrocious out there, Miss Laura. They claim you love President Trump. You claim that you're this President Trump person, but you don't even know that the military can most certainly work with the civilians in a joint publication 3-57. You might want to know that, Laura Logan, before you try to trash me like you did last year. You probably want to know that, Laura Logan. All right. Joint publication 3-57. Civil and military operations. Go to page 46. It says that generally, no, the U.S. Title 10 forces do not operate with civilians unless the Constitution and the Congress deem so. Well, I guess that's probably why Title 50, Chapter 33, Section 1550 is over there in active service, and there's still active orders under that. Executive Order 13912 that invoke Title 10, Section 13302, and also Executive Order 13919 that invoke Title 10, Section 12304. Those are presidential orders, all right? And because there's no presidential order in place from 21 to 25 for the border down there, it's back here in Executive Order 13912. Guess where the New York National Guard? They increased from 2,800 to 8,200 National Guard, but there's not a Title 10 order in place from March the 11th, 2025 to June the 1st, 2025. Where's that executive order? Where's that order? Where's that Title 10 order at? Because that's a federalization order. It requires the president. Title 10. Where's that order? Executive Order 13912, March 27th, 2020. Is the only order at that capacity and that complexity, 1 million reserve components. Why did President Trump put the dash on his cap? Why did he do that? I didn't do that. That wasn't my recommendation. He don't listen to me on those things. Why did he do that? Why does that dash represent a military government, a continuity government, a government in exile, puppet government? Why does all the laws and orders outline all that? Also, commenter said on there, the Logan Act. The Logan Act. All right, the Logan Act is where it says specifically that it says private meetings with foreign leaders or any kind of leader. So Biden and Obama, if y'all think Obama was pulling the strings behind the scenes, or whoever out there thinks that, okay, so Biden, Kamala, and all the libtards claim President Trump is a threat to democracy. He's violating the Constitution. He's a dictator. Do you remember in the debate with quote-unquote Joe in 2020 when President Trump said, and it was you, Joe, it was you who recommended the Logan Act on General Flynn. It was you who recommended that to Obama. What did they do to General Flynn? They used the Logan Act on him. So Vice President Biden recommended to President Obama to use the Logan Act on Flynn, but Biden, as president, didn't use the Logan Act on the man who's a threat to democracy, who's destroying democracy, and he's destroying everything, and he's a laughing joke and laughing stock to the rest of the world, and he's a dictator, and he's all these things. But President, quote-unquote, President Biden didn't use the Logan Act on that man who met with 12 foreign leaders 13 different times from April to December 2024. They could have used the Logan Act, which is 18 United States Code Section 953, which is Title 18, which is federal crimes and criminal procedures. They could have invoked the 14th Amendment on him and the 25th Amendment on him. They could have barred President Trump from ever serving again. But oh no, Joe continued 8 executive orders with 8 national emergencies that are all deporting illegal migrants, taking the Panama Canal back. That's taking all your drug and child and sex and human trafficking and destroying all that and exposing all that. Oh, no, we're going to leave these open? Leave them open. Don't touch them. They have an automatic 2-year termination on them, but we're going to continue those because continuation requires a pen, paper, and president. And we want to call him a threat to democracy and a dictator and all these things. We want to look like idiots and dumbasses over here in 2025 for saying all that when we continue these executive orders with these national emergencies that would have terminated. No, we want to look like dumbasses because that's what we are. That's what you look like if you're a Republican and a conservative. That's what you look like if you think that. Joe continued 8 executive orders with 8 national emergencies. Executive orders do not require legislation whatsoever. Pen, paper, president. National emergencies have an automatic 2-year termination clause on them if they're not what? Continued. What does continuation require again? Pen, paper, president. Why would Joe Biden and Obama, if he was pulling the strings back here, why would they continue the very executive orders with national emergencies that are destroying all of the swamp? Make that make sense. So they didn't invoke any of the laws, federal laws, that could have barred President Trump from being the president again? They just handed him a big box with all his executive orders, with all his war orders, with all the federalization of the National Guard. Here you go, President Trump. Here you go. Big red bow. We didn't terminate them. We signed them. We continued them. Here you go. Right here. Keep enforcing them. But by the way, we're going to call you a threat to democracy, and we're going to call you a dictator, and we're going to call you all these nasty things. And the liberal state, they're going to call you a bunch of stuff. They're going to keep holding up severed heads and show all this stuff. That's what we're going to do, but it's okay, though. You know, that's what you got to sound like if you believe that this was a normal 4 years, and that Trump walked away, and he walked away. Let me paint this other picture to you really fast. If President Trump walked in 2017, said, we're going to take the power out of D.C., give it back to you, the people, and I'm the voice, I'm your voice, I'm here for you, I stand between you and them, and all these things. If President Trump said all those things, but someone like me that knows he has all these laws and orders that he could invoke to put us in a defense mode, to go, whoa, invasion and rebellion. Nope, no mas. I know we have laws that can do that. If President Trump knew what I know, but did not invoke all these laws and orders, and didn't put us into defense mode, and didn't protect you, the people, like no other president has ever done and could have done by law. If you knew that he had all these laws and orders that are unique, and he had a military backing him, and they were willing to back him, and they were willing to support him and protect him, if you knew he had these laws and orders and this unique setup of a military government and a continuity that President Eisenhower and a few others established that no other president did because they were cowards, all right, why would you support that man? If he walked away having this mode and this method and this military and the laws and the orders that would protect you and draw the line and say, we got them, we caught them all, we got them. If he walked away, and he just walked away, and he just waited to run again for president, and you think he won easily without any kind of cheating also, if you think that, you need to quit right now. You need to get off of every page, not just mine. You need to get off of every page. Why would you want him back? But see, they told you. And I just posted that today. 2018, 2020, 2022, 2024. National Guard posted up at the polls. Title 18, Section 592 tells you that troops can't be at the polls unless they're on what? Official duty. If they weren't on official duty, they would be there by violation and they could be fined for that. Title 18, there's your federal crimes again and criminal procedures. Title 18, Section 592, troops at polls. You Google 2008 and 2012 election, no troops at the polls. So why all of a sudden are troops at the polls from 2018, 2020, 2022, 2024? Probably because of these unique laws and orders. Also, 2025, the present day, the tariffs. President Trump put the tariffs in place in 2018. Where were the judges from 2021 to 2025? Why didn't the judges try to block Biden? Biden never removed the tariffs. Did you not listen to the debate this year? Did you not listen to President Trump and Biden? He said, oh, and by the way, did you notice he never took out my tariffs? They're too good. They bring in too much money. So from 2021 to 2025, those who thought Biden was real, he never removed the tariffs. Why? And guess what? Congress deemed the president to have the tariff authority years ago, long before I was born, deemed the president to have the authority of tariffs. Then you have the Tariff Act of 62 and 74 you probably need to go read, by the way. Presidential authority. So that means no Congress needed, no legislation needed. President can just go, all right, tariffs on, tariffs off. Tariff on, tariff terminated. Why didn't Biden terminate them from 2021 to 2025? But just taking it one step further, they portrayed to you, the people, this is how atrocious Republicans and conservatives look. They portrayed to the people that Biden had full control of the House and Senate from 2021 to 2023. But he never terminated the tariffs. He continued 8 executive orders with 8 national emergencies by President Trump. I mean, it's humorous. So when you think you're hating me, when I see a hate message or a hate comment, because guess what? All these people who are following have already read, they've studied, they comprehend. And it shows that you haven't read, you haven't studied, and or you can't comprehend, or you're just lazy and you don't want to be a contribution to society and contribution to humanity. Therefore, you're not a real patriot. It's that simple. That's what you're witnessing. Everything you're witnessing. President Trump can't rip the Band-Aid off because we have so many people who can't even comprehend simple legislation. Simple laws, simple orders, simplicities. So when people say, well, how come this and how come that? Because he's playing a role. But if you'll go look in special operations, and I'm going to close with this because I'm about to go to dinner with my friends out here in the great state of Idaho, all right, is this, March 19th. For those of you who think the assassination was real, someone wrote in this week, said, well, why is President Trump promoting a book that talks about the assassination? And the smart ass in me wants to say, well, because of pansy asses like you who can't even understand simplicities of government, you can't even name the 3 branches of government, all right, you can't even name all the stuff, and I don't expect you to know what I know in a sense of repeating it all. But when you ask that question, it means that you don't comprehend what's going on. You have a massive group of Republicans and conservatives out there who have no clue what's going on. You can't just rip the Band-Aid off and just dump everything at once. Because in order to maintain and sustain this, what he said, we're going to give the power back to the people. In order to maintain and sustain this without it ever looking like the last 60 years of bureaucracy and the incompetent idiots that represented us, the people, well, guess what? The people didn't know the responsibilities of the last 60 and 70 and 100 years. We could go back further, but for short sake, from Eisenhower to JFK and what all happened after that, if the people don't know what representatives are supposed to do for us, the people, do you want them replicating that same look moving into the future? No. So you have to do what? Special operations gets everybody involved. So if you're still reacting negatively or pessimistically to stuff like this, then you're not learning and knowing what you can know. So there's that. Because you are supposed to be involved. It is supposed to rile people up, get people involved, depending on where they are and the capacity of what they know. But if you're calling yourself a patriot, then you're supposed to already know what you can already know that the average person don't know. But President Trump just can't dump all this out there right now because people would not do what? Appreciate it. Not only would they not appreciate it, but they would not know what their responsibilities are and their duties are. So they're resetting everything. The CIA, the FBI, the Secret Service, all of it. They're going through all these different things to get people's attention and wherever you are at your capacity. But can you know what I know? Yeah. Special Operations outlines everything to a T. Unconventional Warfare Pocket Guide. Now they've removed it right now because guess what it's doing? They're doing exactly what's in there. They're starting to unveil all that. You could have already known it, but I have it on the government website on the backup you can go find. But they've removed the Special Operations Command publication that shows all this. I have the backup. I'll post the link where you can find it again. You need to screenshot it or download it where you'll have it. But they removed it from the Special Operations Command right now because guess what they're getting ready to do to everybody? They're pulling everything in. They're setting the stage for Biden being executed, Biden being this, and Biden being that. They're setting the stage. They're getting people's attentions now. They're getting people chattering about it. Because now what are the liberals going to do? What are Republicans already doing? We need unequivocal proof. We need proof. Now they're questioning the man. All of a sudden they claim to support. Now everybody's demanding proof. Well, we got to see proof. We got to see proof. We got to see. So what are they going to do? They're setting the stage of all the chatter of wanting to see proof and all the ones out there saying this is bullshit and this is hogwash and it ain't real. That ain't really Trump. That ain't it. They're setting the stage. But you can already know. Special operations. And here's how. This is so awesome. I've already broke down the quote-unquote assassination from July the 13th. The angle don't make sense. The shots fired didn't hit other people that they should. The angle that President Trump, he wasn't looking directly at the shooter. He was looking this way. He did like this. At that angle, it would have pierced his skull. It wouldn't have topped the top of his ear like they said it did. So all that stuff. Snipers don't leave their perch, their sight picture. They don't leave that. The snipers not only left their sight picture, but they also dropped the rifles down right before the shooting started. Get out of here. You're doing an insult to all the snipers out there if you think that. And also all your SWAT teams and all your special forces, special operations. You're doing them an injustice and a disgrace if you say that. Don't say that. Keep your mouth shut. Go learn all this because there's something in place that shows you straight out the gate that it was all special operations. There was a guy who was at this event in Idaho, walked up to me, a Navy veteran. He saw someone he knew or something like that, special operations. Not long ago, he said, hey, you know Derek Jonhson, the guy didn't even say yes or no. He just said, he's 100% accurate. I know so because you don't know who I work with and who I work for. Y'all don't know that yet. I haven't revealed that to anybody. But when people trash it, the proof's in the pudding, as the saying is. And when the proof is put out there, you're going to look like fools, some of you. So March the 19th holds all your answers. Why? So first off, you got to do this. You got to do a why, and then you got to have all these coincidences. How is it that the Unconventional Warfare Pocket Guide Special Operations has government in exile, shadow government, continuity government, puppet governments, that's what all they entail. Then it has the assassination executive order in there from Ronald Reagan, Executive Order 12333, which stemmed from Gerald Ford's Executive Order 11905. Now think about it. Executive Order 11905 from Gerald Ford has all these things that the three-letter agencies are not supposed to do. Physical searches, electronic surveillance, tax returns, the opening of envelopes, of mail, presidential tax returns. Did you not just hear what they showed to you, the people? They spied on Trump Tower. They spied on my campaign. They raided Mar-a-Lago. They demanded his tax returns. Executive Order 11905. Go look it up. Get on Google. Go to Google. Put in Executive Order 11905, CIA.gov. Enter. Click on that PDF that pops up. What are the odds of that? Everything they did to President Trump's in Executive Order 11905. You know who that exonerates as well? President Richard Nixon. Watergate. Not only are they resetting history, but they're resetting the foundations and they're resetting everything at the same time. Then President Reagan followed up with Executive Order 12333, and they call it the Assassination Executive Order. So what are the odds that in 1966, the Unconventional Warfare Pocket Guide, right? So they have the pyramid in there called a resistance pyramid for what? Revolutions. A revolution? Isn't that what we have our whole basis on, is a Revolutionary War? And this pyramid from 1966, pyramid's the same pyramid over into 2016. Everything's divine right now. It's operating on what? Jubilees. Every 50 years, Jubilee. 1966 to 2016, 50 years. 1966, you had also President JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. What did he say? He loved guerrilla warfare, but we need to be in control of it. We need to be in control. We need to be the ones in charge of it. Guerrilla warfare is good when you're in. If you're the ones in charge of it, you're the good guys. The Renaissance publication, Special Operations Command 2023, Renaissance honors JFK in there with that guerrilla warfare speech. 1966, Pyramid. What are the coincidence odds that the word agitation in 1966 gets put out in the 2016, April 2016 publication, changed from agitation to assassination? President Trump told everybody in February 2016, after Obama said we're going to shut down Guantanamo Bay, February 2016, President Trump said, no. We're going to keep Guantanamo Bay open. We're going to load it up with lots and lots of bad dudes. February. April, Special Operations Command booklet, new publication comes out. The word agitation in 1966 was changed to assassination in 2016 in April. In May 2016, the Supreme Court, out of nowhere, is clarifying that military courts and laws are separate from federal courts and laws. And that's supposed to be a coincidence? Get the you-know-what out of here. Fast forward. July 13th, this quote-unquote assassination. All right, none of it makes sense. None of it to the average person. Liberals said it was for publicity. If they just knew the laws and the orders and special operations, if they actually respected the military, they're closer to the truth than than Republicans and conservatives are. How crazy is that? We have Republicans and conservatives who don't want to know about laws and orders, don't want to know about special military operations, don't want to know about special forces, special warfare, unconventional warfare, irregular warfare. Aren't Republicans, conservatives supposed to be the military-loving people, but you don't want to know that President Trump is actually working with laws and orders, unique laws and orders, special operations? Spearhead, when he's doing his hand signal, that's not Illuminati, you idiots out there who say that. That's Spearhead, special operations. Atrocious. So, back up. March the 19th, 2024. Alabama Hillbilly Math, March, April, May, June, July. 4 months before the quote-unquote assassination, President Trump is filing a docket case with the United States Supreme Court. Donald J. Trump versus United States government. 3 amici curiae. Pretty big words for old Southern boy. Amici curiae is Latin for friends of the court. 3 of them. And in there, the question is posed this. Can a president order SEAL Team 6 to commit murder on a political rival? Ooh. You know the last time SEAL Team 6 and a president were involved with anything? Osama bin Laden. 2011. Well, Obama didn't start that. Bush did. That's your 9/11. All of a sudden, the weapons of mass destruction that were in Iraq, all of a sudden shifted to Afghanistan. And, this guy named Osama bin Laden did it. So we had 2 wars going on for 20 years that were drug out for what? And you had Bush not long ago, not terribly long ago, he's at some speech, and what was Bush saying? What did Bush say? Well, the weapons of mass destruction, maybe they're under this podium. Making fun of all the lives that we lost that he established? All of this rigmarole? And you, the people, and you veterans are pissed at me for showing you laws and orders. You're not pissed at Bush for making a joke for your brothers and sisters that you lost, that we lost, I lost. Are we serious? That's how atrocious Americans have gotten. This one docket case opens a massive can of worms with 9/11. It says, can a president order SEAL Team 6 to commit murder? You know what? The amici curiae, plus it says, extensive senior executive leaders, military and government, say an astounding no. Everything has to be in constitutional law, not made up law, bureaucracy, and democracy. Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution specifically says we are a Republican form of government. We're not a democracy. You go over there and you read this case, and guess what it says? Can a president order SEAL Team 6 to commit murder? Astounding no. Now watch this. It gets better. All of you out there who want justice, your president just told you that Biden was executed in 2020, and you question the official account of President Trump. But you want justice? You're not ready for it. How can you be ready when you question the very man that can lay all this out there? But guess what this opens up? Guess who else was murdered in 2011? Gaddafi, Hillary, Benghazi, Libya. This is why you need to know these things. This docket was put into place 4 months before the quote-unquote assassination. Guess what is referenced all in this case? Executive Order 12333. Guess what executive order is in your Special Operations Command publication? Unconventional warfare with your continuity government, your puppet government, your shadow government, your government in exile. Executive Order 12333. And that's supposed to be a coincidence? Veterans, where you at, vets? I'm not hating on you. I'm just trying to rile you up. I'm trying to fire you up. This is your time to shine, all of you with your 20-year service and your long DD2. Now's your time to shine, baby. Where you at? Why are you bashing me? All these Republicans, conservatives, don't even know that the man they claim to support filed a docket case 4 months before the quote-unquote assassination that specifically talks about, can a president order SEAL Team 6 to commit murder? And then you go read, boom, 1966, agitation. That word was changed to assassination in 2016 in this same unconventional warfare pocket guide. Guess what it says in there? Assassination. Then there's a breakdown of it. The purple means on purpose. It was created on purpose. And special warfare tells you this. I just put that publication out for you, .mil, that shows you the breakdown of the coloration, what is real, what is not, all that. It breaks down the color. Purple, assassinations in purple, and it says it's created, and it says in quotations. President Trump always puts stuff in quotations that tells you that's not real. This is why people need to listen to the man and know what the man's working with. Laws and orders. Every time he puts something in quotations, it means it's not real. It's a joke. This special warfare publication that breaks down the pyramid tells you the word assassination is purple, meaning it's created. So, it says assassination, forming favorable public opinion, parentheses, advocating national cause, comma, creation of distrust of established institutions. Did it form a favorable public opinion? Did Republicans and conservatives get mad and, oh, they tried to shoot my president? Yep, bingo. Did it advocate a national cause? Did it leave the grounds of Butler, PA? Checkmate. Yep, sure did. it was a shot heard around the world. There's your Q right there. I don't hate Q. I'm just saying that Q can't operate without laws and orders as well. Then it says creation of distrust of established institutions. 11 days later, they had the Secret Service director under oath, laws and orders. Not Q, under oath, laws and orders. Secret Service. The question was posed to her, did President Trump receive the same security detail that he would have received as a sitting president? And her answer was no, it was a continuity government. January the 19th, 2025, the last 24-hour day before the president term ends in any presidency, Executive Order 13961, the last executive order on Joe Biden's record, the last, is the revocation of Executive Order 13961. Partial, not full. So you're still in a continuity government. So when you hear people out there saying, oh, he's just dragging people along, laws and orders show where we are. If they knew the laws and orders, they wouldn't look like idiots. They wouldn't look like they're so jealous. But do you see any notes here? All off the top of the dome. And what does President Trump tell you all the time? Isn't it nice to have a president who doesn't have to look at a teleprompter, who doesn't have to memorize things, who doesn't have to sit here and look at something? Isn't it nice to have people who are passionate about what's going on right now? Laws and orders, who knows, and don't have to read a script and go, isn't it nice to have that? Isn't it nice to have someone who can bring in humor, joke around, not care about all the butt-hurt people out there who don't know, who can kiss this Wrangler ass all day long? It's right here. It's not much of one, but you can kiss the tab. At least I have a tab on it. It's not much of a butt. God didn't bless me with an ass, but you can kiss it if you don't like it. All right? But if you claim to be a President Trump supporter, you look pretty atrocious when you don't know President Trump's laws and orders. You've witnessed the resetting of the whole three branches of government. You've witnessed a military government, a continuity government, a government in exile, and it's all in his speeches. It's all been validated. Those are terms you don't hear sitting around drinking mimosas with your girlfriends. It's not terms you hear, guys, when you're sitting around shooting pool or playing cornhole with your buddies and drinking a beer or whatever you're drinking out there. It's not. Occupied country. It's occupied territory. Puppet government. Capitulations. White flag of surrender. Those are not government terms. They are law of war manual terms. And occupied country and puppet government are in your military occupation chapter. President Trump tells the whole world we've been in a military occupation on our own nation. The gravest threats are not abroad, they're within. Listen to the man you claim to support.